Hello, my monstrosities. Hello once again. Today I bring to you an honest yapping. Not to say that I'm ever dishonest on this channel. Bank statements can tell you I don't get paid enough to do that shit. But sometimes I do pull it in, because admittedly, this is take number who knows at this point. I also get lost in some thoughts. Because, sometimes don't need to go too far, and I tend to be harsh in some regards, and it can only sound worse on the internet. Somebody will hear something a different way than what I actually mean by it because feelings and lack of understanding. Good old internet, right? But yeah, this is going to be just going to talk about this and some things. Some. Let me start with the most honest part of it all. I don't think I care. Not to say that I don't care about your all's comments or anything like that. No, no, no. Please comment. You know, share your thoughts on things and everything. Continue to do so. And in truth, some of the comments lately have been probably the best part of engaging with this right now. Am I burnt out? Maybe, but it's the difference between burnt out and bored, right? Like, if you keep trying something where nothing has changed, that's bored. And that's where I'm realistically fucking bored. Um there's only so many times you can redo a list over the course of 3 year cycles and your faction getting eh, here's something, right? Here's four things that went down. You'll be happy, right? The win rate looks good because of Subterranean Assault. You'll be fine. No. Also, GW. It's hard to defend them, even though I know I've been accused of it once or twice, but damn sure don't give a fuck about defending them. Uh, Whereas, like, you don't care either. As many of you have pointed out, they didn't change the Raveners on this. So a new player, this is the part that pisses me off even fucking more, uh, is that, like, a new player that's just getting into all of this and hear everybody talking about, oh, you gotta go here. You didn't care enough to fix this? You didn't fix this in June. And we had the Raveners by the June slate. It's been 6 months. You haven't fixed this? Okay, maybe not 6 months, but it's been at least four. What month did the Raveners come out? I just remember we had the June slate, and the Raveners were already here. I don't remember if we had how much further out we had them. Either way, it's been at least 3 or 4 months, and you didn't fix this? Come on, GW, what the fuck? Um, so there's like that number one, where it's just like, all right, if you don't care, I don't give a fuck. Another thing, number two, where it's like, yeah, objectively, the faction got buffed. And in trying to put a rational spin to it, it's like, yeah, because GW didn't want to give a bunch of buffs on the points because Subterranean Assault, right? That's had a good win rate for us for the first couple of. Well, actually, I think it's just now trailing off now because people are finding out bugs coming out of holes. Steal bugs. You can still hit a bug. Uh, Finding out that's the thing. And if here's me being harsh. It was definitely maddening watching player decision paralysis happen so often against Subterranean Assault. Where it's like, hey, I promise that Zoe squad that you are utterly terrified that shot one of your things, that does not mean you need to keep your melee army in deployment anymore. Go hit them. And people are figuring out, oh, I can go hit them. So, like, I wasn't rooting for the downfall of Subterranean Assault. It's just, I wanted the reality to happen quicker. That way, we wouldn't be here where I have 4 point buffs and we feel like shit in the meta. And it's not to say everything needs to be meta. No, but a lot of our win rate, I'm not going to go too much into this because this isn't my website, and people will be able to figure out better parameters. But at a brief looking at the stat check page and stats there, we're pretty good at kicking the ass of people that don't know what's going on. We're pretty decent at that. The new players or the bottom. I was going to give the exact parameter that I stopped at. Yeah, fuck it, let's do that. Like the bottom half of players, we're pretty good at hurt like winning against them, because people go, "Oh no, it's a bug. How do I kill a Norn or a Tyrannifex? It shot my vehicle. What the fuck do I do now?" Pretty good at that. Uh, and this is where it comes into what most people would want the faction to be. Monster, you just want Tyranids to have a 60% win rate. No, I want to continue to be able to compete, not even compete, play versus people that have played the game before. That's what I want. Because then once you get to the 50 to 100% range, it's like 30 fucking percent win rate. That's fucking sucks. And then I looked at the 25 to 75. I guess not percent range, percentile would be more accurate. 25th to 75th percentile. Uh, look at that range, and it's like, okay, not not too bad. That'd be the range where you're just like, all right, if I take out the worst quarter of players and the top quarter of players, okay, that should give you where you want to look. But you have to really consider how much is inflated by the 0 to 50. At the 0 50, we look fucking unstoppable. 50 and above, and you go at the bottom half of players, doesn't sound that impressive. The 25 to 50 doesn't sound that terribly impressive, right? But that's more math than my degree accounts for. So, somebody that's a stats major, go ahead and, I don't know, tell me all the reasons that's wrong or something, and break it down further in the comments if you want. But that's the gist of that. I just want our faction to be consistently okay playing people that have started to play the game. So, when I get comments, thankfully this has stopped. That are just like, no, Monster, you know what you're talking about. You're just bad at the game, dude. I beat all my friends at the local game store. This is the list I'm taking to the next tournament. I'll show you. Suck it. And then I see the results and I'm like, ooh, looks like I wasn't the one that was was doing the sucking here. Uh, that's me being an ass right now, but that happened way too much for me to not just, every now and again keep maybe enough jabs is what keeps those comments down. Where it's just like, oh, maybe the internet guy did know what he was talking about. But hey, glad you beat all your friends. So coming to this, right? Nothing happens for us, and I did have, the usual Wahapedia pull it up to see something pull it up. Does change for us. I guess I should put this on Subterranean. Uh, if this means anything for us, trying my hardest to see an altering path. Because I did last time go, maybe the Hive Guard will start being put into Subterranean Assault because they're slightly cheaper. They have anti-vehicle. We're going into a meta with vehicles and come out a hole, shoot some vehicles. Boom. And sure enough, turned out that kind of joke was kind of right. We started taking Hive Guard, and it did okay enough out of that. It did okay enough. Wasn't usually worth going for the second unit of Hive Guard, but the one unit served people well enough, right? So with that, do I see that happening again here in some way? I've really been trying to think if it'll happen here somewhere. Um, like, goodness, can it? Maybe like with a list. start to put. The other problem is, though, Hive Guard was a unit that we haven't seen all edition that got put in there. Yeah, one or two people might have thrown 3 Hive Guard into a list, 6 Hive Guard into a list, but it hadn't been a reoccurring thing. Gene Stealers have been a reoccurring thing, so I don't see them going into a detachment that they haven't been in before for random reasons because a block of 10 is cheaper by 10 points. I don't see that happening now. I don't see Turvy randomly getting put into things because she's 15 points down now. I can't really see that happening. Moloch 135 and hell, reminder once again GW, you changed the Moloch because Subterranean Assault. Why the fuck aren't my hyper adapted Raveners and Raveners on this sheet? It's been months. Um, could Moloch go back into Subterranean Assault even though the FAQ told you, hey, don't do that? Uh, Maybe, but I don't know why you would. The regular Raveners and hyper adaptive Raveners are just better in Subterranean Assault. Well, for different reasons. The regular Raveners are better because they have a free downy uppy to make the holes, and hyper adapted Raveners are characters or a character attached to whatever. It's a character unit, so it can take an enhancement and buff the regular Raveners that are already good here. Uh, the Trigon can become a character and become Trigon Prime, or also other enhancements. Moloch doesn't have that, so it's hard for me to envision that happening in Subterranean Assault. And it isn't particularly all that grand to happen again in Vanguard Onslaught. Plays before the existence of Subterranean Assault, where you took all of the snakes. You go, hey, I'm going to take the snake list and put it in Vanguard Onslaught, because they're Vanguard invaders. 10 points cheaper on the Moloch in Vanguard Onslaught. It might be cute to do one of, to possibly get a Battleshock test or two, but I can't see that being helpful because Battleshock hasn't been particularly helpful for a while. Um, and that's if you roll, a 5 up on the unit. Mortals are okay, but there's a. I was going to say there's a lot of feel no pains, but as we see with the Imperial Knights Codex, the World Eaters Codex, GW seems to hate that now, randomly. Their psychophage got changed, and I think that wasn't more so, like, looking at it with all of this information considered. I think that was less of a, hey, you guys want some AP on melee, right? You know what? Psychophage. And now it kind of answers the question why I didn't go on a Screamer Killer or some shit. Something that we weren't particularly using with the attack, right? I think it was more so they were getting Feel No Pain off of the Psychophage because fuck you, Tyranids. We're taking it away from other factions as well. Why do you get an aura on a unit? More so than they really wanted to give us a unit to buff the AP in melee, which we had been complaining about. They're like, look, we got it. We're going to price it at 110. They're going to try it. It's not going to go too hot. Um, we're not going to put it on something like the Toxicrin, right? Something that we've also been asking to be better. And none of the units that people weren't looking at overall, like a Parasite of Mortrix. Now, come on now. We're going to put it on a unit that at least had a home in some places. We're going to take away the thing that gave it a home, the reason why it had a home there, because we don't want to talk about that too much, you know? Look, everybody's complained. We heard you, Imperial Knights. That's why they were a little bit overtuned, right? World Eaters. You weren't doing particularly anything, but we'll take that out of your blessing of Corn Table. A couple of others. Um, Death Guard. Well, yeah. Look. Come on now. Come on now. You're tough enough. What do you? We'll just make it cheap. Uh, did all that. And it's just like, all right. I think that was more of a you hated what it did versus you wanted to give us a different surprise. So right, maybe the Moloch can have a similar situation, but I say the feel no pain thing that I was going to say there's enough feel no pains in the game that mortals don't matter, but this considered, maybe they do. Maybe GW is maybe GW is going to make it so that mortals do have better chances at damaging again, which is kind of weird considering how much of the grot mist detachments and the newer detachments. I'm trying to remember which ones. I guess just the grot mist detachments. Considering how many of the grot mist detachments had feel no pain versus mortals. So like I don't know why they did that there. Maybe they're trying to make it so that it's only a feel no pain versus mortals kind of thing in the world. I don't really know. But if people are more susceptible to mortals moving forward, maybe the Moloch coming down in points could be cute. It does have 16 attacks, but it's strength 8, right? AP 2, damage 1. And at damage 1 and 135 points, that's 5 points cheaper than just me bringing 10 Gene Stealers that have, well, AP 2, damage 1, and reroll hits. So, they also are Vanguard too. So I was going to say, at least in Vanguard Onslaught, this, that, whatever. I don't know. Maybe in Subterranean Assault, if in a meta that things are more susceptible to mortals, the Moloch finds a place. And with that, the Neurolictor also went down 10 points. Um, that's cute. And I did ask for it to come down. So that's cool. And I've also asked for the Gene Stealers to come down for a very long time. Don't know why the 5-man isn't down as well, but the 10, I have asked for them to come down for a while. So I'm glad that that happened at the literal least, apparently. Um, why is that? Well, for the Gene Stealers, look at the Pure Strain Gene Stealers of GSC and tell me how we were more expensive than those. Come back, infiltrate, native advance and charge. Yeah, you tell me why that is. Now, mind you, they only have one patriarch. We get several brood lords, but to that point, that doesn't mean that my brood lord should be fucking 80 points. I would also still like that to come down to 70. 70, sure. Um, but yeah, all of that. Neurolector. Battleshock is a mechanic that they tried, realized it doesn't do that much, and you know, I will still give them this that on paper it sounds like Battleshock should be fucking amazing. Can't use strats, can't hold OC, even turn off some army rules. Uh, somebody tries to fall back while their Battleshock desperate escape test. Like on paper, Battleshock should be fucking amazing. But then you make it so that, well, that faction over there has the potential to heal if they pass their Battleshock test. That faction over there's leadership is pretty good, so like it'll be pretty hard for them to fail it right there. Oh, really? Who do you need this against? And then, furthermore, Moloch, Neurolictor, Harspex, Death Leaper, Screamer Killer. Who else inflicts Parasite of Mortrix? Did I get everybody? I think I got everybody that inflicts, not just has an effect encounter, inflicts Battle Shock, and then obviously Shadow on the Warp. If there was more of it, right? If there was more of it on data sheets, besides just these data sheets that aren't particularly amazing, Um, maybe we might have a spot there, right? To go about things in terms of changing the game, and maybe that's step number one of it, because we've tried several times over the course of this edition to make Battleshock list work. Oh boy, howdy, we have. But the units that they're attached to aren't particularly grand. So, here's that. But the Neurolictor coming down is objectively something I did want to see. I'm glad it happened. With that though, with this overview, do we see that being reflected in any of our detachments? Subterranean Assault, maybe two Neurolictors in Subterranean Assault does something. You're already taking the Think Tank, for those of you unfamiliar, Neurotyrant plus the Zoes, the Zoanthropes. Uh, you're already taking that in Subterranean Assault. Now, mind you, you already would get +1 to wound because your own Neurotyrant thing. Um, but I don't know. Maybe there's an argument to say you don't need the Neurotyrant. You need the Neurotyrant, but maybe there's an argument to say you don't, and you just make Neurolictors do it. Who knows? For the +1 to wound, that is. But also, if you take more Neurolictors, the same way people have been trying to aggressively put the Swarm Lord up there, maybe if you have two, hell, maybe you even spring for the three Neurolictors in Subterranean Assault. Maybe, reroll hit rolls of 1, +1 to wound, Battle Shock test with Molochs coming down cheaper, which are burrower units. Maybe Subterranean Assault gives people a headache. It's possible. It's a lot of circle jerking there. A lot of hoping that it happens there. But possibly Neurolictor here. I know you can't see my hands. Neurolictor here, just follow along with me. Uh or or hmm. See, now this is the thing though. Because of Neurolictor happens in your command phase. Hmm. Okay, okay. Check it out, check it out. Follow with me now. Neurolector infiltrates up there. Whoa, whoa, it's all the way up there. Oh shit. Oh my gosh. Okay. Right. Neurolector all the way up there. Then Vanguard Intellect. Is that the one? Yep, Vanguard Intellect. Deep Strike something. Sure, fuck it. I don't know. Create a hole. Moloch. Do it. No, wait, the Moloch can't do it. Fuck. Alright, it's not looking hot for the strategy, but just saying. There is a world into which you throw a Neurolictor in a space. I said that weird. In a spice. You throw a Neurolictor in a spice. And then a Moloch happens. And then you roll the 5 up on that particular unit. And then they fail their battle shock. Right? And then out of the hole that you created with the Moloch, oh shit, uh, comes another unit to take advantage of the +1 to wound from the Neurolictor. Yeah, a lot of steps there, but in theory, it could happen. And then next turn, your opponent's getting too close. Oh, I'm alone up. Don't come near me, please. Then you throw the fucking, I don't know, screen it out with a Biovore or some shit. Then the command phase, Neurolictor, go. Then you battle shock test, and then it fails the +1 to wound again, and then oh no, they're coming close to my Neurolictor. I tunnel network away. Maybe, maybe that happens. And I'm saying all of this pretty facetiously, right? I understand sometimes people don't pick up on the fact that this is a fucking joke. Um, Sometimes when I say things. I'm not being terribly serious that I think that this is the game plan to carry us to victory. Okay, before everybody gets upsetty spaghetti. But maybe it does. Maybe on a slim chance it boosts our win rate for Subterranean Assault to fucking 60% because we brought 3 Neurolictors, 3 Molochs, and a whole lot of Copium. Who knows, right? But beyond that, can you replicate that in Vanguard Onslaught? Excuse me. Pretty close. Not now, take away the reroll hit rolls of 1 in the tunnels, but you can bring Neurolictors in Vanguard Onslaught and Molochs, both Vanguard Invaders, and do things, and then bring them up and down with Invisible Hunter. All right, you could do that the same way you can do it with Tunnel Network and what's its face and fucking Subterranean Assault. Retreat Below. You could do that, right? That could happen. I don't think it's particularly amazing, but you could do all these things. That's probably the best shot at everything. Turvy, I don't see randomly making a list if I had to give a shot, right? Uh, Not Unending Swarm. I know we tried Assimilation Swarm. Turvy, we've tried it a couple times. And it's kind of sad that probably the person I would give credit to championing that isn't even on the faction right now, from what I've seen. There's that as well. But maybe in a weird way, right? Here's my weird shot in the dark of places that might see life. Warrior Bioform Onslaught and Synaptic Nexus. Warrior Bioform Onslaught told us, hey, we would like for you to take some Termagants in theory. They didn't really implement it very well, in my opinion, but hey, maybe Turvy being 15 points off, somebody that already likes the Warriors, likes Turvy, there's a specific brand of player there that likes these following units: Termagants, Warriors, Turvy. There's enough veterans that love that recipe. Now, admittedly, they love it because of previous editions, but they might find joy in doing that again here at Warrior Bioform Onslaught. Possibly. The other one being Synaptic Nexus. Maybe, just maybe, you go back to putting uh, fucking Synaptic Control on Turvy to make her harder to kill. Termagants benefit from kind of jack shit on the things in the Synaptic Imperative, but, +1 to advance. Let's bring up the Termagants. They have Spine Fist, Flesh Borers that have Assault, maybe +1 on their advance. So they effectively have a 7-inch move at the bare minimum. Well, I guess an 8-inch move at the bare minimum. Uh, yeah, right. Uh, Maybe that. Then you send all of your Termagants to Oath of Moment against the target with Irresistible Will, reroll hit rolls of 1, reroll wound rolls of 1, and you lethal hits them to death between the Hive Tyrant aura and Turvy's aura. Maybe. Competitively viable? Who knows? But it's 15 points cheaper for you to do it, so you can at least be 5 points away to putting it on Turvy with Synaptic Control, putting it back. That's something. And Gene Stealers, I don't think there will be in a detachment that we haven't explored for them before. Right? Vanguard Onslaught staples, Invasion Fleet, regulars. I've pitched on Ending Swarm. Brew Lord taking the enhancements out of there a couple of times, just in case you want to play the detachment, because you want to play the detachment. Not because I think it's good, not because I think it's better than something else, purely because you said, I want to use this rule set for whatever reason. Assimilation Swarm, maybe. Maybe we see more Gene Stealers go to Assimilation Swarm. And to that point, I'd say maybe. I know that Gene Stealers have, 2 wound bodies, right? I understand that part. So it's not as appealing as regenerating a 3 wound body. They're only T4. They have a 5 up or die save, right? But they do have reroll hit rolls of 1 natively. And if the target is within range of one or more objective markers, reroll a wound roll of 1. You can in Assimilation Swarm, I covered this recently, but if you want to drop the Brood Lord altogether, I don't recommend. But maybe for points, right? Maybe you have a different vision of it. You can just give them secure biomass with reroll hit rolls of 1 so that they have lethal hits, reroll 1s, and then munch units that way. And if they kill something, Rapacious Hunger, bring back a unit. Or, sorry, a model. Uh, cool. You could do that, but if you take the Brood Lords, I'd say that gives you plan B, because if they, for whatever reason, not too many people usually focus the Brood Lords because why? But if, just if, they precision out a Brood Lord so you no longer have Dev Wounds on the unit, then you do the lethal hits. That would be what I would assume. The unit being 10 points cheaper means you can afford Instinctive Defense, Regenerated Monstrosity, Parasitic Biomorphology a little bit easier, right? Regenerating Brood Lord Gene Stealers that, scouted and then, had fair movement and then charged into something. Yeah, you'll tie up some shit for a bit. They're also synapse units, so if you want to pop Shadow in the Warp early, tie it up, make points. You could just make it annoying, all of these things, okay? That's where I would assume if there were to be a new place for them to go, it would be there. And new not being none of us have done it, just a new regular place that if people really wanted to try it. Now here comes the opposite end of all of what I just said, right? The opposite end of all of this is that, unfortunately, all the other detachments besides Subterranean, not even besides, as we just saw, all the other detachments, namely not Subterranean Assault, I guess that's our best one, are having issues. We're fucking having issues. So, even if these do go into those places, I don't think it's enough to take those detachments to comparable spots of Subterranean Assault. If Subterranean Assault's at 50, but everything else is at 40 and 30, there's problems that need to be addressed overall. And yeah, if you don't want to buff too much so that you don't buff Subterranean Assault, you should have been looking to change the detachments themselves. But, hey, that's kind of where it all is. Um, it's slightly annoying, but I, if you've looked on the channel, I'm getting back to doing other things. Not that the the year's kicking back up again, but I'm going to try to do more things as well. I'm just going for my own sanity. Going to try to do more things too. Uh, I'm on the fence if I'm going to be playing Borderlands 4 anytime soon. I'm hearing they're having performance issues, and I learned my lesson not to pre-order games a while ago. Uh, I the new season of Mecha Break will be around the corner. If any of you saw any of those videos, when Monster Hunter keeps dropping, or whenever Monster Hunter drops something new to hunt, I'll go do a video or two about that. What else have I been playing? Deadlock. I don't know how much of a staple it'll be in the channel of me playing it. We'll see. I'm having fun with it currently. What else? Apex. That's the other one. Apex has a new patch coming up in a couple of days, so you'll probably see an upload of that on the channel. But that's just other things besides 40K. What does that mean for us over here in 40K? I'll try to keep the same schedule that I've had. of like every third day being a Tyranids video. But really, I don't know yet. I'll try to keep that moving forward as it is, but we'll see if things are looking too shite for Tyranids. I truly don't know, but we'll see. We'll just we'll see. So yeah, if you like the video, like it. Got a comment for me, comment, and until next time, peace out, my monstrosities.